Dawntrail is coming to an end soon, which means the next Final Fantasy XIV expansion is on the horizon. There are plenty of things to speculate about. Where's the story going to go? What new locations will we visit? What Final Fantasy game will this expansion have a bunch of references to? But one of the things players most look forward to is of course trying out the new jobs. Every expansion after Heavensward has featured 2 new jobs. If you look at what those jobs are, you have a caster and a melee job in Stormblood, a tank and fizz ranged in Shadowbringers, a healer and a melee in Endwalker, and most recently a caster and a melee job in Dawntrail. So we're right back to where we were in Stormblood. If the pattern continues, then we're looking at another tank and fizz ranged. Even if this is just a coincidence and it's not an intentional pattern that the devs are following, it's quite likely our new jobs will be a tank and a fizz ranged anyway, because it's been quite a while since we've gotten a new job in those roles. And I mean, look at poor fizz range, it's only got 3 jobs. If this is a pattern and they continue in the foreseeable future, we're gonna have a shit ton of melee jobs, and I don't even think Viper was all that unique, to be honest. It has a similar burst to Reaper. It had quite a bit more going on at launch, but was made simpler quite swiftly. It's not a bad thing to have a flashy, easy job, but wasn't that already what Reaper was? I don't know. Either way, that's a discussion for another day. What could the new jobs possibly be? Will there even be 2 jobs? They didn't specifically say there would be 2 new jobs, but we know for sure there will be at least 1 new job. If it's only 1, I would argue it would definitely be fizz ranged, to bring it to a nice, even 4 jobs. There's a possibility that the job rework coming in the next expansion is going to take a lot of time and resources, and we'll only get 1 new job because of it, which I would be fine with as long as the old jobs feel fresh and unique. But this is all just speculation at this point, so let's continue under the assumption that the next expansion will have 2 new jobs, a tank, and a fizz ranged. By the way, I'll try to avoid any specific major story spoilers so you can enjoy this video even if you aren't fully caught up, but I may reference some themes from later expansions, so viewer discretion is advised, I guess. Anyway, let's start with the tank. If you look at jobs from previous Final Fantasy games, a few things come to mind. Viking, Mystic Knight, Berserker, and I think these would be pretty good and pretty safe choices. Maybe Berserker would feel a bit redundant since we have Warrior, but if it used a different weapon type like a big old hammer, then it could be interesting. It would have to play nothing like Berserker in Final Fantasy V though, because you can't control the Berserker in Final Fantasy V, and I doubt they want to make a job that plays itself. Anyway, I think Berserker would feel too similar to Warrior, so let's scrap that idea. That leaves us with Viking and Mystic Knight as the most obvious examples from other Final Fantasy games. Viking would be pretty cool, a nice looking armor. You could go hang out with the dwarves in Coluzia, since they look like the Viking job. It would be fun. You could just make it so that they have a big 2-handed axe like Warrior, but I think that would be a bit boring. I think I heard Mr. Happy mention this, if memory serves, and I think he suggested dual-wielding one-handed axes, which fits the Viking aesthetic very nicely. You could also go with an axe and a shield, since we only have 1 shield job in the game. That could be a nice addition. I have no idea how it would play, but I think it would be neat if it had a faster GCD like Monk and Ninja. Just go crazy with it and make it super quick and super fun. You could even pull a reverse hypercharge where you have jobs like Machinist, Reaper, and Viper, where they have a burst window where their GCD is super short, and you can only weave 1 OGCD. Maybe Viking could be fast naturally, but its big damage burst has a long GCD with huge damage and crazy animations that feel super impactful. I don't know, I think it would be different and pretty cool. Mystic Knight could also be very interesting, a tank that infuses its blade with magic. Imagine this, you have a sleep spell blade. It's like a toggle or something, I don't know, and you can choose to use a single target attack or an AoE after you toggle it on. And if you use an AoE in a trash pull, it puts everything to sleep for like 3 seconds. That's a great mitigation tool right there. And you could even use it after White Mage unleashes all of its holy spam. Boy, you'd be cruising through those dungeons. Maybe that sounds a bit powerful, but I mean, it's only dungeons. I mean, we have Warrior right now, who can literally solo dungeons. I'd imagine the Sleep Spellblade would do fuck all and nothing to like savage raid bosses, though it would be nice if it did at least a big damage hit so you have a reason to press it in raids. Either way, there's certainly a lot of cool things you could do with Mystic Knight, and it would probably use a sword and shield, I imagine. Paladin's a little lonely being the only shield user after all. Though another sword user would be kind of boring. Let's take a look at all the melee weapons in the game, shall we? 4 obvious sword users with Paladin, Dark Knight, Samurai, and Viper, though you could include Ninja, whose daggers are basically just small swords, and you could include Gunbreaker, whose gunblade is just a sword with a gun on it. So that's basically 6 sword users. Hell, 7 if you include Red Mage now that I think about it. Then you have 1 axe user, Warrior, 1 spear user, Dragoon, 1 scythe user, Reaper, and 1 fist weapon user, Monk. I can't really see anything else ever using fist weapons other than Monk or a scythe, other than Reaper. And we already mentioned Viking for the axe, but what about a spear? What about a spear and a shield? It's something that no doubt works very well in reality, and it's not even new to Final Fantasy XIV, just look at Helone. Personally, I love spears, I think they're so cool, and I'd be ecstatic to play a new spear job in this game. I'm not a job designer or a genius, so I can't say what unique cool things it would do, but you know what, there's not enough channeled abilities in the game. What if this job had a channeled ability where it hides behind its shield, can't move, and your main combo changes to 3 unique abilities, you know, basic stabs, that can be used while you're channeling the shield rays, which itself gives you like 30% mitigation or something. I don't know. Could be cool. I'm just spitballing here. What are some ideas you have for cool abilities a spear using tank could have? Anyway, those are just some of my ideas for what the new tank could look like, though of course I have no basis for any of this. I mean, I guess you could say the possibility for Mystic Knight is higher than any of the other things I said, simply due to the fact that Final Fantasy Job 5s were referenced with the Phantom Jobs and the Occult Crescent, but I wouldn't say that really matters much. Anyway, let's talk about the other job, and the one I think is basically a guarantee, a new Fizz range job. I mean, if they don't add a new Fizz range job, I would be shocked. It's the most underrepresented role at the moment, and there's a lot of cool stuff you could add. First, let me just spitball some random ideas for a new Fizz range job, and then I'll talk about the one that I've heard mentioned a ton, and then I'll finish with my delusional cope of what job I think is next. So first, if we look at the history of Final Fantasy, there are some things that come to mind. Ranger is an obvious one, but I feel like its gameplay would be way too similar to Bard, and including it would feel kind of pointless and really wouldn't be very exciting unless they rework Bard into basically a completely different job or do something really crazy with Ranger, so I doubt that's going to be the new job. Going back to Final Fantasy V, there's a job that comes to mind, Chemist. I think it would be pretty cool. It could be a big support job while also having some interesting abilities of its own. Now get ready for this, okay? If you look at Bloons Tower Defense 6, there's the Alchemist Monkey. Hear me out, okay? Listen, I'm serious. The middle path for the Alchemist Monkey gives it an ability to turn into a big, crazy monkey that shoots lasers out of its eyes. Now, I'm not saying that I think the Chemist should be exactly like that, but maybe it could have like a 60-second burst or something where it drinks a potion, grows a little bigger, glows or something, and has a crazy burst combo. I think that would be kinda sick. It could also throw potions and shit at party members to give them a quick temporary buff, kinda like Astro cards. Maybe there's a potion that gives you a little regen. Maybe there's a potion that you can throw on the tank to give them a shield or mitigation. A potion you can throw on a DPS to give them a higher crit chance or just a flat damage increase. Or maybe something I haven't even considered. You know what? How about this? A potion you can throw on a dead party member to revive them, and it's instant cast. That's right, but maybe it has a 60-second or even longer cooldown, so you can't just throw them on the entire party willy-nilly. I don't know, something cool. And of course, its LB3 would be a tsunami of acid, or maybe its LB3 is that it drinks a big potion and shoots a laser beam from its mouth. Something fun like that. Come on, I'm not insane, right? Another job you could add from FF5 is actually from the Game Boy Advance version of the game, Cannoneer. I remember having fun shooting a big cannon in the Occult Crescent, but I don't really know how you can make this job all that interesting. I mean, it's basically just a cannon. They'd have to get pretty creative to make it work. Now, they don't have to make a job based on a previous FF game. They could go the way of Viper and make a job unique to Final Fantasy XIV. If you think about ranged weaponry, there are a few ideas. Slingshot, shotgun, rifle, sling. You could even have a job entirely based around throwing knives or something. Maybe playing cards? Wait, isn't that Gambler? Well, whatever. I'm just saying there's a lot of options. You could have a shotgun job that also maybe builds little turrets and maybe even helpful support buildings and call it the engineer or something. Okay, yes, I'm literally just talking about the TF2 engineer, but it could be cool, right? Ah, whatever. Let's talk about the job I've heard most people mention, and that's Puppet Master. Without going into story specifics, a cool new character from the end of the 7.4 quest I've heard many people mention could be a Puppet Master. They even have a little puppet-like theme with them. Sorry, trying to avoid super spoilers. If you're caught up, you know what the hell I'm talking about. Puppet Master was a job in the other FF MMO, FF11, so this could happen. Maybe it'll even be teased a little bit in the last Final Fantasy XI Alliance raid, though probably not. By the way, just a quick tangent, I'm so excited for the last Final Fantasy XI raid after they showed Chantoto. Oh god, I'm so excited, and I swear, if the minion at the end of the raid isn't a Prish minion, I'm gonna end it all. Anyway, Puppet Master could be pretty cool. They could do a lot of fun things with it, and I wonder if the puppets themselves could have any cool little references. Maybe you could even have a glamour system for your puppets, like you could get a little puppet Alphino or something. That would be pretty fun and make the job feel very personal and customizable. Anyway, Puppet Master would be cool. But you know what's cooler? This is what I think the next job could be, and I might be huffing straight crack copium, but I think the next Fizz Range job could be Blitzball. I mean, think about it. We've had a ton of references to other FF games, and most recently in Dawntrail there are FF9 references everywhere. What if the next expansion we go to a nice little ocean reflection and there's a bunch of FF10 references everywhere? I don't know. But you know what got my eyebrows to raise in suspicion? The most recent live letter. They mentioned that something new is coming to the gold saucer, but that they were unable to share any details about it. Now I saw some people go, oh, it's probably just another collab like the Fall Guys one, so they can't share it yet. But what if, and maybe I'm delusional, what if the reason they don't want to share it is because it would spoil the next job? I mean, people have been begging for Blitzball in the gold saucer since forever as far as I know. I heard about it when I started the game. I still hear about it. I don't even like Blitzball that much, but after playing FF10 for the first time last year, I think it would be a pretty damn fun job. You've got your ball, you throw it at the enemy and it bounces back. You can infuse it with different elements like Waka, and it would be fun as hell. The job questline could even be tied to the Blitzball arena added to the gold saucer. I can imagine it being just a ton of fun to play Blitzball with everyone unlocking the job. Of course, they need to make it so you could solo it too in case everyone hates the Blitzball minigame and no one ever wants to play it ever again. Anyway, that's what I think could happen for the next job in Final Fantasy XIV. Will Blitzball finally make its appearance after all this time? Probably not. If I were a betting man, I'd go with most other people and assume the next Fizz Range job is Puppet Master, but I would love a Blitzballer. I hope we get 2 new jobs and that the job rework doesn't take up too many resources. I mean, the Blue Mage update got delayed because Beastmaster took too many resources, which is just kind of ridiculous. I hope a Beastmaster is worth it. It looks like it could be a lot of fun. A shame that it only goes to level 50 and can only do the Realm Reborn content so far. You thought Blue Mage updates were slow? Well, now we have 2 limited jobs, so things might be a little rough for Blue Mage and Beastmaster fans. Oh dear. Anyway, what are your ideas for a new tank and a new Fizz Range job? Do you think there will be 2 jobs? You know, speaking of the job rework, maybe I'll make a video going over what I want to see from the job rework. Obviously, I won't be able to speak for every job since I have more experience with some over others, but there are definitely things I've been pondering. Either way, I look forward to news for the next expansion. A new expansion release is a very exciting time for MMOs, and I hope the next expansion is a ton of fun. I hope it continues the trend of interesting, kinda tough dungeons, and great raids and alliance raids. By the way, don't you think a Final Fantasy VII alliance raid would be sick as hell? The first one could be Midgar, and you fight the Guard Scorpion, the Airbuster, the Turks or Proud Clawed, Motorball. Damn, that would be sick. Not really sure what they do for the second and third one though. It would definitely have to end in the Northern Cave against Genova and Safer Sephiroth. Well, regardless, I look forward to whatever they have planned, and I hope it's good. And I think it will be pretty good because the battle content is usually pretty damn good, especially in Dawntrail. Either way, leave any comments on any of this stuff I've been yapping about down below. Feel free to like and subscribe, check out my other videos if you find them interesting, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.